What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut, and today we're going to look at the Carson Palmer trade, which occurred back on October 18th, 2011. Now, before we start the video, I do want to point out that in the original Robert Griffin III trade breakdown, I did discuss this trade, but this trade more than deserves its own video. So this trade was between the Oakland Raiders and the Cincinnati Bengals and saw Oakland acquire quarterback Carson Palmer from Cincinnati in exchange for a pair of draft picks. Now, why did this trade happen? Well, after another rough season in 2010, Carson Palmer essentially demanded to be traded. He apparently told a friend, quote, "I will never set foot in Paul Brown Stadium again. I have $80 million in the bank. I don't have to play football for money. I'll play it for the love of the game. But that would have to be elsewhere," end quote. In response, Cincinnati decided to select quarterback Andy Dalton in the 2011 draft. As the season approached, both sides were attempting to call each other's bluff. Eventually, Carson Palmer was placed on the reserve did not report list. By the middle of October, Dalton was playing well enough, and it was clear that Palmer didn't have to return to the Bengals. The Oakland Raiders, however, had just lost their starting quarterback Jason Campbell for the season. They called Cincinnati, and a deal was quickly agreed to. So how did this deal work out for the two teams? We'll start by looking at the then Oakland Raiders, and they got quarterback Carson Palmer. So Palmer started off a bit rocky, but he ended up playing decently. He threw for 2,753 yards, 13 touchdowns, but 16 interceptions. Now the team would go 4-5 with him as a starter at quarterback and just missed out on making the playoffs. Now he would improve slightly in 2012. Passing for just over 4,000 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. However, the team was 4-11 with him as the starter. The Raiders decided that enough was enough, and they decided to ship Palmer away to the Arizona Cardinals along with a draft pick in exchange for a pair of draft picks. Now, the first draft pick that they got was a 2013 6th-round pick. This would become the 176th pick, and they would trade that pick to the Houston Texans in exchange for two more picks. So the first of those picks was the 184th pick in 2013. The Raiders would use this to select tight end Michael Rivera. Now Rivera would start 15 games over 4 years with the team. He was solid in his first 2 years in the league, recording 96 catches for 941 yards along with 8 touchdowns. Now over his next 2 years, his role did shrink as he would record 50 catches for 472 yards and a pair of touchdowns. After his rookie contract was up, he walked as a free agent. Now, the Raiders also got the 233rd selection in the 2013 draft. They would use that to select defensive end David Bass. Now, Bass was waived after his first preseason with the team, so he did not make the team, nor did he make the practice squad. So, all in all, decent trade for them. Now, they also got a 2014 7th-round pick from Arizona in exchange for Carson Palmer. That pick would become the 235th selection. With that, they would select defensive end Shelby Harris. Now, Harris would appear in 8 games over 2 years with the team, recording 14 tackles and a single sack, but he was cut after those 2 years. So not the best trade for Oakland. How did Cincinnati do? So Cincinnati got a pair of high-end picks, the first of which was a 2012 first-round pick. This would become the 17th overall selection. With that, they would pick cornerback Dre Kirkpatrick. Now, he was a non-factor as a rookie, but he ends up becoming effective in a reserve role over the next 2 years, recording a combined 6 interceptions and 53 tackles over 30 games, after only starting 5 of them. So pretty good. Now he would win the starting job in 2015, and he recorded a career-high 70 tackles and 16 passes defended, but he did not record any interceptions. Now he would improve a bit in 2016, recording 3 picks along with 46 tackles. Now in 2017, he recorded a single pick, but he had a bad season in coverage. He did not look good. He was getting beat left and right. Now, he struggled again, especially in coverage in the 2018 season. And then in 2019, he would appear in 6 games before he hurt his knee. That injury would end up being his curtain call in Cincinnati as he was released after the season. He was an interesting, somewhat polarizing player. I mean, as a first-round pick, not the best that you could have gotten, but he hung around for a while, so there's that. Now, they also got a 2013 second-round pick in exchange for Palmer. That would become the 37th pick. With that, the Bengals would select running back Giovanni Bernard. Now, Bernard spent 8 years as a complimentary running back in Cincinnati. Over those 8 seasons, Bernard would rush the ball 921 times for 3,697 yards, which was good for 4 yards per carry. Pretty solid. Now, he ran for 22 touchdowns as well. Now, over that time, he did compile 30 starts in that time frame. Now, he also caught 342 passes for 2,867 yards and 11 touchdowns, but he did walk. Now, the problem for Bernard was he was better as a running back too than a starter. When he started, he never really wowed anyone. He'd be okay, he'd be good, but he wouldn't be, a highlight reel guy. That's why Cincinnati allowed him to walk. Anyway, that discusses the Bengals and the Raiders. How did the other 2 teams involved do? We'll start by looking at the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals got quarterback Carson Palmer in a draft pick. And Palmer, in particular, he was good. He had a very solid first year in Arizona, throwing for 4,274 yards, 24 touchdowns, but 22 interceptions. Now, this was a year where the Cardinals went 10-6. However, they missed the playoffs. Now, in 2014, an early injury costed him 3 games, but he would end up tearing his ACL in early November, which effectively ended his season. The team had gone 6-0 in the 6 games he had started, and he had thrown for 11 touchdowns with 3 picks. This was a sign of things to come, fortunately. Now, Palmer had a career year at the age of 36 in 2015. He would throw for 4,671 yards, 35 touchdowns, and only 11 interceptions. The yards and touchdowns were career highs for him. He led his team to a 13-3 record, and the team would go on to win in the divisional round, but they would lose in the NFC Championship game. Now in 2016, he once more passed the 4,000-yard passing mark, along with 26 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. However, the team took a slight step back. Now he would begin 2017 as a starter, but he would break his arm during the 7th game, and in that time, he threw for just under 2,000 yards with 9 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That broken arm would end up ending his season, and he decided that enough was enough, and he retired after that year. All said and done, he was a 1-time Pro Bowler, a 1-time second-team All-Pro, and he was a 1-time Comeback Player of the Year for the Cardinals. Now, they also got a draft pick, and that draft pick was a 2013 7th-round pick, which would become the 219th selection. That would be used to select tight end D.C. Jefferson. Now, Jefferson would appear in 4 games, but he failed to record any stats before he was released after a DUI incident and arrest. So, yeah. 7th-round pick, though, can't really complain. Lastly, we have the Houston Texans, who got the 176th pick in the 2013 draft. They would use that to select offensive tackle David Quessenberry. Now, Quessenberry missed his entire rookie season with a foot injury. And then in June of 2014, he was diagnosed with lymphoma. He would miss the next 3 seasons, but he was fortunately able to complete his cancer treatment in 2017. Now, on the football side of things, he ended up appearing in 2 games for the Texans before he was released, but he is still playing in the NFL to this day, so that's always a positive. He beat cancer. Very happy for him. Anyway, that was the Carson Palmer trade breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If I had to pick a winner, it's got to be Arizona. Palmer had that very good year in 2015 for them. If I had to pick a loser, there's not really a real clear-cut loser. Probably Oakland, though. Probably the Raiders. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a good rest of your day.